The swim exit, it's actually a barge that extends out into the river with a submerged ramp that is about 8 feet wide, so a few people can exit at the same time. They'll exit up onto the barge, and then as soon as you come out of the water on the barge, you'll make a left onto a ramp that connects the barge to the seawall. It's a metal ramp. You just want to be careful on it. It does have handrails, but it can get slippery after, when it's wet. And then once you come off the ramp, you'll step off onto the concrete seawall, and that's when you make this run into transition we were just talking about.
So I have another question here. It is my first try. Are there group cycling cues or known etiquette? I'm worried about running into others.
Well, I think the most important thing you have to understand is if you're slow, you stay on the right, and you always pass on the left. And USAT rules are that there's obviously no drafting allowed, but you are allowed to ride up onto someone's back wheel. But the minute you come within, and they'll go over all of this, the minute you come within 3 bike lengths of the bike in front of you, you are required to pass that bike. Now, by USAT rules, if that bike on the right-hand side does not allow you to pass, that's what's called blocking. It's difficult to enforce, but you are allowed to ride up onto someone's wheel and then pass them on the left. Do not pass on the right. This is a race of a lot of people, and people understand that. And this is about your race, and you should worry about yourself and just to be safe. But passing on the left is the only allowable time to pass, and you should always move back to the right. And people have to yield to you when you move back to the right. And again, I think the other important thing is the first thing that you need to do the minute you get in from the swim to the bike is put your helmet on and clip your helmet. You will not be allowed to leave transition, and you will be disqualified if your helmet is not buckled as you leave transition. That should be the very first thing that you do in bike transition.
And another helpful tip is you should actually practice drinking from your water bottle while in the arrow position if you plan on riding in the arrow position, or even if you're up on your hoods or handlebars, just practicing drinking and holding a straight line. There have been accidents in the course before while people are passing, and then the person being passed goes to drink from their water bottle and swerves. So it'll be really important to ride on the right, as Mark indicated, pass when appropriate, and if you have enough speed to pass them so that you're not sitting there blocking someone else from passing, and then also just holding a straight line. That'll ensure your safety and the safety of those around you.
And I think for the northern end of the course, there is a double yellow line. If you cross over the double yellow line, that is qualifications for disqualification. It's very dangerous. So if you do not feel that you can pass, or there is a problem, just give it some time, but do not cross a double yellow line.
And one more suggestion for the bike, depending on which transition you're in, it will affect where you go when you come back into the transition area from the bike course. The red transition will be right in front of you, so those athletes need to try and stay to the side so that they're not braking in front of a yellow transition athlete who needs to continue forward. This is something, again, you should be familiar with and possibly attend one of those race transition briefings when you check your bike in so that you're comfortable and safe coming back into transition.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Vic, is that, you know, the organizers of Vic and Allie and the rest of them have gone to great lengths to make this probably one of the safest events out there. There's a lot of people racing and crisscrossing, and to have individuals available to walk you through the swim, the bike, the run course, it's really worth it to take the time on Saturday to do that. It'll make you feel infinitely more comfortable about this course.
Another question, what is the ideal spot for family and friends to gather and cheer you on besides at the finish line?
Well, I think the swim is actually one of the coolest places to watch. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think the swim is one of the best places to watch. there aren't a lot of triathlons where you can physically walk along the seawall and watch the person swimming right next to you for the entire length of the swim. So I think if you want to watch your swimmer, it's a great place. When you get to the swim exit, you actually won't be able to watch them any further than that because the transition area is locked down to the public for safety reasons. But you can exit the park pretty close to swim exit. It's actually a few blocks north of that. But you can exit there and watch the bike. You can watch them bike out of transition right at 79th Street. And in Riverside Park, there are quite a few areas where the park is very close to the northbound side of the West Side Highway. So that also makes for a great view. So what I usually suggest to people is walk along the swim, watch them swim, exit the park at 83rd Street so that you can see them bike out at 79th Street. The thing about the bike is once they pass you, they're gone. So there's not a lot to watch unless you want to watch other bikers just because it's a great view. But then I suggest from there maybe having your spectators, friends, and family grab a little breakfast, then maybe wait for you to run out of Riverside Park at 72nd Street whenever you're done with the bike, and then walk over and wait for you at the finish line. And now, having said that, just to add another 2 cents, they can watch you anywhere on the run in Central Park as well. So if you've got a spectator friend that's feeling sporty, they can run up to a few spots to watch you.
What is the swim start for the race? Is it a dive in or a jump in?
The swim start, if you're a pro, is a dive start. If you're an elite amateur, it's a dive start. And for all the age groupers, it's a feet first jump start. And one of the reasons for that too, sorry, people just ask all the time why the amateurs can't dive. When the current flows south, it means that the river is going from high tide to low tide. So as the race continues, we actually lose water up at swim start. So we just want to make sure it's safe for all the athletes, which is why we enforce a jump start for the amateurs.
On a similar note to the biking etiquette, is there general etiquette rules when swimming? I have heard stories of swimmers literally swimming on top of each other.
So, from experience, in some courses, especially at Ironman level, where there are 2,000 to 3,000 people that are launched at the exact same moment, yes, it is very much like salmon swimming upstream, people swimming over one another, getting kicked, getting punched, having wetsuits being, ripped off their backs. I think this is a situation, and as was implemented last year, as a wave start or a rolling wave start, and Vic can talk to that in a second. The number of people going into the water at a single time are fewer, and they're well spaced. I think there is some etiquette that's there, and if you do swim up onto someone's feet, you should not sit and tap their feet, tickle their feet, or grab their foot. If you want to pass someone, you go to the side of someone. Never go over anybody. And the better part of valor is if you feel as if you're encroached upon by other swimmers, then honestly I would slow down and do another stroke, get out of someone else's way. There are very considerate people that are on the course, and then there are some not so considerate people on the course. But I think given the way the start mechanics are of this race right now, I don't think you're going to have that problem. But Vic, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I agree. Like Mark said, we used to have this age group wave start where you started with all the people you were competing with. So you could have anywhere from 100 to 200 people going into the water at one time in one location, and it was chaotic. Some people loved the excitement of the mass start like that, but I think for the most part, people are very happy with the more streamlined times trial start of 15 people every 20 seconds. And I have to say, from a race operation standpoint, we've definitely had a lot less people being pulled out of the water near the swim start thanks to the new time trial format.
How can you tell when your age group will start?
Well, what we do is we have signs along the seawall that have the age group as well as a sample swim cap stapled onto that sign indicating which group is moving up. The challenge is once the race starts, it's just a constant flow of athletes filing onto the swim start barge. So if you're one of the yellow transition athletes, you need to be very alert and aware and following your sign as it moves up the seawall. We have all the age groups in the same, actually let me reword that. Age groups will all be wearing swim caps to match one another. So if you look at our age group, our athlete guide, the swim waves are listed there and it will show the swim cap color assignment. So if I'm a female 35 to 39 and my swim cap color is pink, I need to make sure I follow all the pink caps up along with the assigned swim wave sign. Now also don't be fooled by just the color swim cap. Because we have so many different age groups, so many people, we use swim cap colors multiple times. So you may see pink swim caps 3 times, but they'll be spaced out. So make sure you're lined up with your appropriate group next to your appropriate sign.
How many people are registered to compete in the race?
We have nearly 5,000 people registered. We typically have about 3,700 to 3,800 who show up and race on race day.
Once you jump into the water, is there enough time to readjust goggles, etc., before the next wave jumps on top of you?
Well, with the time trial start, it's 15 athletes every 20 seconds. So once you're in, you should probably start moving. Somebody's going to be coming behind you. But I guess there's always a little bit of time. People can swim around you, I guess. But you kind of want to get moving.
Yeah, I think given the current, literally within 20 seconds, you're going to be a good 20 to 50 yards away from that barge.
Where exactly is the finish line?
The finish line for the race is in Central Park. It's just off of the 72nd Street Transverse on a road that the park refers to both as Dead Road and Center Road. It's right next to the band shell and very close to Bethesda Fountain. It also is kind of in between the band shell and Sheep's Meadow if you need a better way to find it on a park map.
While I'll be carrying an additional tube, has the bike route been swept of debris similar to the footpaths to and from swimming to transition?
I wish we had that luxury. It's the West Side Highway. We're very lucky that we're able to clear cars off of it. So no, it's not swept. It sees hundreds of thousands of cars every day, so it gets rough. So we very strongly encourage athletes to carry a repair kit. Last year it had rained, so it was a little bit more slick, and in the rain, as you may know, you're more likely to get a flat, the way glass floats up and slices into your rubber tires. We had about 150 tire tube repairs last year. So be prepared. Flats do happen. You should know how to fix your own. However, we do have roving bike mechanics, but we've got roving bike mechanics covering 25 miles. If you think about how long it takes you to drive 25 miles, there is a chance that they may not get to you right away. So again, be prepared to fix your own flat if necessary.
Are there any porta potties along the bike course?
Nope, no porta potties along the bike course. We do have porta potties at the swim start and in transition.
Now, I would just say to that learning how to pee on the bike is actually a learned skill, and it's something that I would learn how to do. My wife and my family were very impressed when I learned that skill.
Yeah, hopefully you took your bike outside first.
Of course I did.
So I have one last question here. I'm staying at the Hill